The last 18 months have challenged us all. Yet through that adversity, our communities have risen to the occasion. Despite the hurdles we've faced and those still ahead, Connecticut businesses have proven their resilience. They showed up for us, and now it's our turn to show up for them. Do your thing, Connecticut. Connecticut is a beautiful place to live. We have mountains and beaches, we have rivers and lakes, we have large cities and small towns, and we have some of the best restaurants in the country. During the 6 years that I've been lucky enough to call Connecticut my home, I've explored nearly every inch of the state, and let me tell you, I've found some real gems. Join me as we tour some of my favorite vineyards, restaurants, and retail shops across Connecticut and speak with owners and employees about their experiences operating their businesses during the pandemic and how they're moving forward today. First up is Hopkins Vineyard in Warren, Connecticut, where the Hopkins family has a long history. Elijah Hopkins purchased the land all the way back in 1787 after returning from the Revolutionary War, where the family operated a dairy farm for generations until they transformed it into a vineyard in 1979. Beyond the breathtaking views of Lake Wamarog from the vineyard's lawn, Hopkins boasts an impressive selection of small batch wine made mostly from grapes grown on site.
What have you experienced with how you guys have been sort of adapting to the times?
So I know at the start we actually just did a curbside, so we were just doing to-goes like that. And then it's great out there because now people have the space to go and feel comfortable and not be so packed in and drawn in here. That's why we stopped doing the tastings themselves. So we started doing the flights instead, because that way you can get the tasting aspect of it, but not be so cramped up out in the bar. You can go outside and enjoy anything.
Do people come and just have picnics?
Yeah. So literally, you can bring your own picnic, or a lot of people do just grab cheese for us, like crackers or whatever, grab some wine, and then enjoy the whole day out there. Yeah. This was a place where everyone felt comfortable and everyone was spaced out on the lawn and not so packed up, so everyone was coming and spending the day and buying bottles.
Probably wine is in high demand right now,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, everyone's bored in quarantine, so you need some bottles.
This is a good time to be in the winery business.
I've heard good stories about when quarantine first started. People were saying that they literally went out and they bought cases, because they didn't know how long they would be in.
Right, that's
like literally people came in here stocked up for months.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you guys have been seeing a lot of activity. That's
it's
really
good
cool.
to see it start back up again.
We departed our beloved Hopkins Vineyard with some party favors for later and headed towards Easton, Connecticut to my favorite place to score fresh veggies and eggs, Sport Hill Farm. Established in 2000 by Patty and Al Pop, Sport Hill Farm has become a destination for locavores and restaurateurs alike. Their focus on sustainability and non-GMO produce varietals has made them a favorite amongst locals, and their market offers not only their own produce and farm-fresh eggs for sale, but also a bevy of local businesses, including dairy from Arethusa Farms, fruit from nearby Blue Hills Orchard, and their own brand of CBD products cultivated on their sister property, Pop's Farm.
So we call ourselves Sustainable Sport Hill Farm. The reason being is we like to take care of the people that work for us. We like to take care of the animals we raise. It's important to me. I've had a lot of health issues, which I don't wish upon anybody, but I feel that, farming sustainably with less chemicals, crop rotation, using non-GMO seeds, heirloom varieties, etc., is super important because we are nourishing our bodies, and you are what you eat. I mean, I hate to say it, it sounds so cliche, but it really, when you really think about it, it's true. As I think back over the years, why did you keep doing this? What kept pushing you? But something did, and it was just okay, one more year we'll try. One more year we'll try. I'll never forget putting my kids down for a nap, coming out here when we first did the raised beds, transplanting probably 200 little lettuce plants. And we had a groundhog, and I knew that, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be so smart. I'm gonna put bird netting all over it. The sucker's not gonna take these. I go in to make dinner. That little son of a gun jumped up and ate down every little seedling I planted. And I was like, that's it! I'm out! This is baloney.
It's so interesting to hear that because
you have so many of the best restaurants in Connecticut coming to you for produce, and like here you are just kind of self-taught, flying by the seat of your pants for a long time. That's so cool. It just goes to show, like, I mean, that's probably really inspiring to hear for people who are maybe in this post, or current pandemic world, really looking towards maybe starting their own farm or moving out into. That's super cool to hear for people probably who might want to change tasks with what they're doing.
Farming is hard to begin with. Pivoting with this pandemic, which nobody knew last year, was insane. I think we just all ran on adrenaline. It was the fight or flight. You got to fight. I had to make that decision within 24 hours. So instead of opening the doors, we went online like a lot of people, and I know the Westport Farmers Market as well did that. We do pre-orders, pick up outside. We staggered all the pickups. Very safe, very stressful, but we did it. And I started that, I want to say it was in April. We opened up earlier. We would just be my staff inside the market. We were the only ones handling everything, packaging and putting it out. And then I made the executive decision because it was just too hard to do that. June 1st, we opened the market. It was masked, only 5 people at a time. People were really patient
during that time.
People were extremely patient waiting. It was wonderful.
Is that something that you're looking forward to? Like, is in a way, are you open to being creative about like what happens here next?
Oh, totally. My
That's
wheels
awesome.
are always turning.
It's kind of exciting, right?
You never know how I'm going to spin off for next year.
I mean,
I've got lots of ideas. It's a long honey-do list.
Yeah. The honey-do list. I like that.
We also do the hemp too, so that's just another added. We have the sister farm, Pop's Farm. So between the two, there's a lot of creativity that can happen.
Cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
very exciting.
Next, we hopped back on the road to visit the Pez Visitor Center, which holds a unique place in my heart. Pez may have been created in Vienna, Austria, but one of the company's headquarters is right here in Orange, Connecticut. The Pez Visitor Center offers a nostalgic, historical look at the candy that's been a part of nearly everyone's childhood. And the windows look out into the actual Pez factory, so you can see the team creating and assembling the candy. So we're here at the Pez Museum. Pez has been sort of a center character in my candy story. My parents used to let us get Pez dispensers and collect them, and we really weren't allowed a lot of candy. So when I found out that the Pez Museum and Visitor Center in the factory was in Connecticut, I kind of freaked out. I just think it's so cool, the history of Pez and just what a long-standing product it's been, especially, when we look at COVID and recovery from COVID and these businesses. It's really cool to see these businesses that are local to Connecticut that have sort of withstood the test of time and fads and all of that and kind of come through the other end. And this museum is super cool. They're super COVID friendly and safe. It's a really fun thing to come and bring kids to, and just something out of the ordinary where you can really get a look at how they produce and the history of the candy. And I got myself a little limited edition bee Pez. So I'm actually gonna open this and load it up. Grape is my favorite Pez flavor. Seriously? Yeah. My siblings and I used to have a competition on Christmas morning, because we always used to get Pez machines in at Easter, about who could load it the fastest. Now you see that I haven't loaded one in a while. I love that families have such a nostalgic connection to this candy, and every parent can kind of talk to their kids about what their favorite flavor is or their favorite dispenser growing up. And it's a really nice nostalgic thing you can come and do with your kids and kind of introduce them to a candy that's been around forever. So here we go. Here's my little bee, my limited edition bee with my favorite flavor, grape. Yeah. This makes me feel like a kid. Next stop was No Leftovers, a Jamaican restaurant in Norwalk, Connecticut that has become one of mine and Ian's go-tos in the neighborhood. No Leftovers offers all of your Caribbean favorites: jerk pork and chicken, steamed fish, oxtail, coconut water, and fruit juices. I spoke with the owner, Lloyd, about operating the business during COVID, and he made an unexpected comparison.
It's been tough, but based on experience, had to control labor. You had no control over food prices.
Yeah.
Food price, it's like Germany 1918 to 1923, when they had hyperinflation. You closed at 12 o'clock, and at 1 o'clock you reopened with different prices. People who were millionaires, by 1921, they were paupers. And that's basically how this went. But thank God, thank the customers, thank my wife and my children who came in and filled those voids so I wouldn't have to worry too much about labor. And of course, most of all, thank the customers who braved it and came out. I stayed open right through the pandemic. I think I was close to about 3 days. Then people start calling me on my direct line that we need food, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I came back out, and thank God, you know, sometimes I felt sick, sometimes, you know, sometimes I just gave away food. I learned a lot. And it's not that you didn't have or knew these things were out there, but you'd never experienced anything in your lifetime, something as tough as this. But see that highway?
Yeah.
Those truckers? I fit 3 or 4 trucks in there.
Wow.
And wherever you see a trucker eats, or a bus driver eats, what happens is that it's either the food is good or they really hungry.
Yeah.
And they kept us in business. The landlord, they hug me every day, because when most restaurants close or most businesses close and walk away, their check was sitting there every month.
Thank you so much for sitting with us. Is there any food ready for me to buy?
Yeah, you can go on in.
Our final stop was Juice Kings in Stamford, Connecticut, whose health-centric business was pivotal in bringing the community together during a difficult time.
So you were mentioning your partner, so tell me how Juice Kings kind of came about and where the idea came from, how you guys got here, because you opened during the pandemic.
Yeah, so Stanford has never had a real juice bar. We have the chains, the frozen stuff, and I've always gone to juice bars in New York and just kind of got tired of going. And very fortunate that this is our property, so we had extra space. And I was talking to a friend who's now my partner, and he's a health nut. He's the chef, he's the scientist behind all of this. And so we just had these talks with him, you know, it would be so awesome to have a juice bar and to own and have it downtown and to bring this to the town and the community. So just that talk led to further discussions and more research, and just timing was crazy, but it didn't work. We were in too deep. We just had to keep pushing.
That's so cool. I really like too how you blended these worlds of like really bringing this concept of health and wellness and making it more accessible to people who might not, you know, who might think of health and wellness as something really like lofty, these like lofty ideals, but bring it really down to what it is, which is everybody has a right to be healthy, to feel their best. And I love what you guys are doing here. And open during COVID, so what was that like?
Thank you. It was very difficult. It was, to say the least. I mean, we had to take a 2-month hiatus. I mean, where we're at a standstill. We couldn't go downtown. We couldn't get any kind of permits. There was no equipment to buy. I mean, these companies were all shut down, so there was nothing to do. And I think after going through the heart of COVID, and being that this is a seasonal business, to get through a COVID winter at that, I think we felt good.
Yeah.
And that was our silver lining. Like, if we can make it through this, we can make it through anything. We've got both sides of the spectrum. We've got the side where COVID shut down all these things, and plastic shortage, and all these scenarios that we have, and then you get the complete opposite, where it's people want to consume better things. And so we're trying to push the agenda that it's cool to be healthy. Like there's a cool vibe in here that the young kids that come in, you don't need to go down to get fast food. This is affordable and it's natural and it's healthy and it's cool. We've got a good vibe going on.
Well, it elevated my vibe being in there for just 10 minutes. I'm like doing great now, drinking a little matcha protein.
Yeah.
I think too, you were talking a little bit about silver linings and just being in here for 10 minutes. I mean, you have really a community of people. You know everybody, they know you, they're excited to see you coming in here in the morning. So what is that like? What is your community like of customers?
We've been so fortunate to be well received, and I can't even put it into words. It's been a really good feeling that all the research and study that we've done has really come to fruition. It's a blessing. It really is, because both my partner and I come from different backgrounds, even in business fields. I actually have another full-time job that I bounce around, so but it's fun. You get the regulars, you come in, you love to see people. This is our city, so it's hard for me to put it into words how blessed we are.
It's been so inspiring to speak with my favorite businesses about their experiences during the pandemic. Whether it was those whose communities heard their rally cries, or those that shifted their businesses online in order to continue to provide services to their customers in a safe way. I have so much respect for their resilience in the face of such adversity. The communities that rallied around these businesses during the darkest days of the pandemic give me so much hope for the future, both in Connecticut and across the world. On the next episode of Happily Ever After, Connecticut Rebuilds, we speak with business owners about their experiences hiring and retaining staff during the pandemic, along with the silver linings of temporary shutdowns.